Well, my name's Philip McFadden. I was born in Scotland in 1960, and we moved to Northern Ireland when I was 10 years of age in 1970, just at the start of the Troubles. It was a bit of a culture shock. My first day at school was a bit of a culture shock too, and getting used to it. Soldiers on the streets, barricades, checkpoints, taking 2 hours to get to school. There was everything going on, and coming from Scotland into Northern Ireland in a kind of like a war situation. But it was a bit of a shock. But you eventually get used to that. Whatever human beings, they're great at acclimatising. The thing became almost normal. In 1979, I went to Art College in Belfast. Another culture shock. It became a lot more sectarian. You know, like you realised in Derry, the communities are very defined. You know, there's no big blocks and there's rivers, or you know, like. But in Belfast, there's 2 streets, could be red, white, and blue, and the next 2 streets could be green, white, and orange. So we were living in the Holy Lands, and it was like a little ghetto of students. And now, in retrospect, you know, the art that we were starting to produce in Art College was all to do with the Troubles and the way we were looking at it from our own backgrounds, dealing with the situation. What is this craziness about? You know, what is it achieving? And only now, 30 years on, I almost think it was the start of a peace process. You know, even before the politicians got a hold of it. You know, that writers, artists, playwrights, musicians, they were all kind of dealing with this, you know, assumed threat or what was going on. Sometimes it was real, sometimes it wasn't, sometimes it was in your head, sometimes it was physically in front of you. All the staff we had were English lecturers. There wasn't very many Northern Irish lecturers, so you were making this stuff. And they were brilliant, they were lovely, but I don't think they really understood what was going on or what we were doing, you know, what we were making. You know, they were teaching us aesthetics and, you know, tone and, you know, colour and all that. And we really, you know, we were taking, you know, I'm glad I learned all that, because that is, you know, you use it in your art every day. But we wanted to get into, you know, what was going on outside. You know, the bomb, you'd be in Art College and a bomb would go off and you'd look out and you see a puff of smoke, like, and you know there's something, somebody could be dead, or there's somebody injured or something. And there was all these kind of things that, again, as I said earlier about Derry, they just became normal. Like you would get, on the way to Art College, you would go through checkpoints, the top of Royal Avenue, you'd be searched, you'd be frisked, and you go through like a no man's zone, Royal Avenue, and then you'd come to another checkpoint, and then the Art College. So you'd be going through all these military installations every day, a lot of helicopters in the air, a lot of noise. People, you could see people who weren't used to it, like, you know, looking up in the sky, but again, everybody seemed to become acclimatised to the, you know, the military activity, the military hardware, everything around them. So again, it just became normal. 1983, I done my degree show, and I made 14 Stations of the Cross. I made them, I didn't put them on canvas, I put them on sheets of tin, because corrugated tin was a very, very big part of Belfast as well. Everywhere you went, army barricades was corrugated tin, burnt out houses had corrugated tin on the windows. So I got 14 pieces of corrugated tin, and then I started to build the 14 Stations of the Cross. I was using the Stations of the Cross as a vessel to carry my ideas, but I wanted the Stations of the Cross to be very Belfast, very, very Northern Irish. I wanted them to be modern. I wanted Mary Magdalene to be the wee woman I met on the street walking to Art College, and I wanted Our Lady. I wanted Jesus to be maybe somebody I met walking to Art College as well. I wanted to kind of empower it with the people, the people of Belfast. So it's a wee bit tongue-in-cheek, but it was almost like they were being crucified every day. Like, in the degree show, it was more like they were giving us time to play. But in the MA, it was more pointed. It was more, aiming for a show. They were trying to harden us up a lot more to the outside world. Getting us used to what we were going to face. So after the MA, I went back to Derry for a while, and it was like somebody put a pin into the bubble, like a bubble bust. Like, I was making art on the dole. So I went to England for 6 months to work on building sites. I've done this all through my life. So I was in London working with plasters, and I got a phone call from Owen McGonigal saying there was a job teaching in the regional college in Letterkenny. Would I like it? I was on the next plane home. So I stayed there for about 3 years, and in 1987 I applied for PS1. And PS1 was an Arts Council funded bursary to New York. It gave you a free studio and a workspace and a free accommodation for 6 months in New York. What I thought I was going to do was I was going to make pieces about Ireland, and I make pieces about, I always felt confined in Ireland about the pieces I was making. I didn't want to offend anybody. The reason I went to New York was to get 3,000 miles away from Ireland, so I could say, I thought I was going to say things about Ireland that I couldn't say in Ireland, but that didn't happen. Well, I started to look at Martin Luther King and his fight for civil rights. And again, coming out from a situation in Northern Ireland, that's where my perception of the Troubles came from, was civil rights. So there was a connect there, civil rights, things like that. So I moved back to Ireland in 1991. So when I got home, I got a studio. I moved to Donegal, and I got a studio in Carndona. The first pieces I made were American flags. It was called Born in the USA. Again, dealing with a lot of American issues. And then the Troubles were winding down, but they were kind of physically over, but they weren't kind of mentally over. There were still a lot of things, and so I started to deal with kind of those issues. The fiberglass pieces I were making were huge pieces, and I realised in my studio it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So these bronze heads were to make art on a smaller scale, but I never thought I would ever be making bronze. Like I actually, when I was at college, I kind of said to myself, I'll never, I always thought I was a bit of a kind of radical, and I wasn't going to make establishment materials. I always thought bronze and oil painting were two kind of establishment materials. So it's funny now, 30 years on, I'm making both. I've actually just finished an exhibition of paintings called Balaclavas, Watchtowers and Gas Masks. And again, that's probably go back to the Troubles again, but it's in a more painterly way of dealing with like masks. They're almost like tribal masks, and I'm trying to give these masks personalities, because people behind masks do have personalities. But again, I want to go back to the 35 years. The journey I took from the fiberglass to the bronze to the stone to the natural materials, now to paintings, like to oil paint and to bronze. I needed to take that journey. Like a gallery owner said to me 25 years ago, he says, make them in bronze and make them small and I'll sell them. And I basically told him to take a run and jump. But If I had made them small and started to sell them, I would have never got to where I am now. I think it's the journey is more important than the art sometimes. It's how you get there. So it was all about the journey, like.